the life-changing aspect of it is instead of starting life behind, you're starting it light years ahead, all thanks to this job called caddying.
Hi, I'm Leah Barr. Welcome to A Better Way for Doing Good, the Foundation X podcast. Here we sit down with changemakers, innovators, and dreamers who are building a better way for philanthropy and social impact.
The ideas we share here are for general information only. Nothing you hear should be taken as tax, legal, or financial advice. For guidance on your own situation, we always recommend talking with a qualified professional. Welcome back to A Better Way, the Foundation X podcast. I'm your host, Leah Barr, and I am incredibly excited to be here today with two guests for the first time in the history of the podcast, Brandon and Ryan Schenck. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for
having us.
I couldn't be more excited. I think one of the things we've done in the recent past in some of our episodes is talk with people about building things with intention. But your story takes that one step further and talks about how things can be built over time, can be built as early as childhood, and then come back to us in the long run. So I can't wait to jump in, hear from the both of you, learn more about your experiences. But we start this podcast every single time reading the bios of the individuals who are on. I think it's just like this incredible moment where we can pick our heads up after all the work we do and hear firsthand how we're showing up in the world.
Awesome.
That's great.
So, like I said, we're joined today with Brandon and Ryan Schenck, brothers, and part of a new generation helping guide the future of ForUs, a nonprofit focused on developing young people through mentorship, opportunity, and golf caddy training. For both of them, that connection started early as a summer opportunity that over time became something more. That experience helped shape how they approached responsibility, work, and what felt possible for their future. For Brandon, it led to the Evans Scholarship, an education at the University of Minnesota, and eventually a career as a software engineer. Along the way, he stayed connected to ForUs, returning to volunteer, mentor, and now serves as chairman of the board. Ryan shares a similar connection, having also been shaped by his early experience in the program and now engaging with the organization in a brand new capacity. Together, their story reflects how something that starts early with you, shaping your path in ways you don't always recognize at the time, and eventually brings back an entirely new perspective. So Brandon, Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah.
Very happy to be here.
Good. We're happy to have you both. Like I said, we have these generosity table topic cards, and we start with just pulling a random card. You didn't get prepped for this in advance, but it is a really fun experiment just to see what comes off the cuff. So the question is, what other ways can you be generous other than financially?
I can kick us off here where I really think that people can look to contribute, not necessarily financially, but with their own skills. Everyone on this earth is here with a very unique skill set that is only unique to that person and their image. And a lot of people can really benefit from those different perspectives. And so I think really finding a way to use your skills and use your mindset to impact, whether that's the next generation, whether that's your friends, your coworkers, just finding a way to make an impact with just who you are as a person, I think is so important and so invaluable. If you just put yourself out there, just take one step forward, you can really be surprised and impressed by just the own impact of your own voice.
And we talked a lot in our first episode about like how even the smallest acts of generosity can create ripples. And that's such a fun way to think about it in the sense of like show up authentically who you are because there's no one like you. And that will already make an impact and is generous. And it's generous to be vulnerable in that journey. So I love it. Brian, what's your take?
Donating your skills and donating your knowledge too. We've each had different experiences growing up, and we've all come from many different places, and we've all walked different paths of life. Finding a way to share what you've learned along the road definitely can help. And then like just being there, having time, like people have a lot more free time than you think about, and sometimes it's just wasted throughout the day. But, figure out better ways to spend that time if you want to donate, showing up to whatever volunteer opportunity there are. There are many out there, but definitely time and knowledge
Yeah.
are two great ways if you can't donate financially.
Yeah, I agree. I'd encourage it as well. I think we're highly attuned individuals and we know when people are showing up authentically. We just like know it in the interaction and in our bones. And I think when we see it, it's so easy to name and it helps spur larger movements and spur involvement and conversation or whatever it might be. So that's always our goal here, regardless. But I think it's a way to show up in the world, which, yeah, it's just another way we can think about being generous too. We heard a little bit in your quick bios that you were both involved at a very early age with For Us. Take me back. How did you get involved in the organization? What did that look like for each of you?
Our mom, I think, had a big part in playing and getting us involved in the forest program back when it was called MMJGA. She found that and she was like, "Oh, this is a good way for you guys to learn how to caddy." And my older brothers had already been caddying, but she sent me through the program kind of as my first experience, and I got to meet Clayton Tyler and then some of the people that he had currently been working with. That was kind of like my first introduction and did that for a year. And then I got reintroduced again when Clayton reached back out to me when I became an Evans Scholar and wanted more help with volunteering and connecting with more Evans Scholars to come back and teach.
Got it. And what about being a caddy was important to your mom? Like, how did she even decide that that was something she wanted you to be a part of?
Really came from she learned about caddying from a friend of hers, and she was looking for ways that um, myself and our siblings could get involved and get some experience in a professional job and start to learn that independence. And really that's kind of been echoed throughout our parents teaching of us. Like they've had us learn how to cook on our own, they've had us learn how to take care of our own bills. And caddying was very unique for her because not only are you working, but you are building professional skills and able to work with these business leaders and different sports professionals. And so they wanted us to be around that environment to be able to build our own professional skills as well as build our own network and start to network with these people to be able to really learn what it's like to be in a professional setting. And I think in caddying, you get that professional experience that you might not necessarily get at your normal teenager job, where it's more of a repetitive task. Whereas in this role, you are very dynamic, and every round is new when you are out there on the golf course with your golfer, and you're really like a tour guide out there, and that just those skills stick with you just from that job and beyond.
Yeah, it's amazing that she had the foresight to say, like, it's important that my children, and I'd love to hear about the family dynamic, especially you guys being brothers.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, just like, how old were you when you started the program? Were you all in the program? How did that look for your family?
Yeah, so we all started around the age of 13. So one by one, we're about 2-ish years apart, 1.5, 2 years apart. But we all started around 13, going through the program, and it was each of us had a slightly different experience. Jordan and Brandon, the two older ones, they had a pretty similar experience going through, staying at the Caddy Shack, and then I also came in. They'd already been promoted. They got the online system. Once you get a promotion, you don't have to come in at 7 in the morning anymore and wait around at the shack. I had to deal with that, and then I think by the time our younger brother Bryson he got there, he had to deal with that for maybe a year, and then he got moved on to that online system, and they tore down that caddy shack, and it was no more after that. After a few years, they're like, we can't have kids sitting around here all day, you know.
There's a funny story with that as well, where right before the Caddyshack got torn down, the caddy manager went in to open it for the season and actually found a raccoon in one of the couches. And that was kind of the final nail in the coffin of, all right, it's time to tear this down and move onto the online system.
It had its day, clearly, but there was a little bit more modernization that could come with it. Besides raccoons in couches, I'm curious, like, Ryan, what do you remember from those early days? Like joining the program, what are some of those things that stick out to you?
Yeah, those early days working at Hazeltine, I was like, I want to get to where my brothers are. I was following in my brother's shoes a little bit. And I was like, I want to get to have the most loops, get promoted the fastest. I was calling my mom or texting my mom, and I'll tell her the night before. I was like, can you get me to Hazeltine early in the morning? You know, I need to be dropped off at like 6:30 in the morning. I need to be the first one there so I can get, first one on the list. The way it works for getting out when I first started was, first one there is the first one out. But then eventually they changed that to be, in by a certain time, and then you're put into a lottery system essentially. But still, like the ones that got there early and showed up every day, you were more likely to get out more often. And that was just what my mind was like, just keep putting in the days, putting in the work. Some days I wouldn't get out at all, but then the caddy master would see me and be like, all right, I'm making sure you're getting out the next day or the day after that. And eventually I started getting the better loops and the members knew my name. And by the end of my first summer, I was actually promoted to a caddy, which had been, I was one of two people for the first year promoted to become an A caddy there.
That's awesome. Brandon, what do you remember? Like, what are those early days look like for you?
I actually had a similar experience. A trend that you'll start to see amongst us brothers is that there is a sense of competition, but that was also very helpful in just pushing us forward because something that is also kind of a downside to caddying is that you really have to earn your place there. So when you first start off, nobody really knows who you are. Like Ryan said, keep showing up. So my experience, I was constantly showing up at 6:30, 7 a.m. Basically, my mindset was I can do this better than my older brother. Like I'm going to be the top caddy. I'm going to work really hard. And the reality of it is that I actually didn't so the season opens in May, and I didn't see my first loop until June, really until the first tournament, which was around mid June. But not seeing work for that long and coming in with the mindset of like, hey, this is a job, and you're not actually working yet until like a month in, that can really deter a lot of people, which tends to happen. But when you are tenacious with that, the caddy manager sees it, the members see it, and then that's when you start to get recognized at the golf course, and then more of those golfers start to bring you out. For me, that tenacity that was inadvertently built based on my competition with my older brother was really what stuck with me and continues to stick with me today.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, even in the short time we've been talking thus far, I've heard such like incredible values coming out of your family, right? Like your mom's ability to say, like, it's wildly important to me that my children are independent. And then that fostering this sense of competition and ultimately leading to, like, really, to your point, Brandon, like, utter tenacity and this unrelenting ability. Curious, like, if you can put yourself in your 13-year-old mind, because that's long ago and quite young, what sorts of things are you saying to yourself to like keep showing up every day? And I don't know a lot of 16-year-olds that want to wake up at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, or at a minimum be to work at that time. And besides, like, I really have to beat my brother. What are you saying to yourself, Ryan, when you're like, I have to be the first one there?
Oh, that's a good question. Going back to 13,
If you can do it.
I was telling myself like this is my summertime. This is my time to work. Don't fool around too much. This is where I can be independent. I can have my own amount of money, and I was also keeping track of how much I was making, how much I was spending, and trying to really become independent. My goal was if I wanted a phone, I had to pay for my own phone bill. So thinking about different bills, and then eventually it was like, oh, I'm thinking about buying a car eventually. Having the idea and wisdom of being financially stable, even at 13, to get the things that I wanted and things that would help me in the future as well.
Brandon, besides competition, what are you thinking?
For me, it was really about building that independence and wanting to prove to my parents that I could be responsible. During that time when I was 12, 13 years old, we weren't allowed to have a cell phone or a smartphone until we were deemed mature enough for it. And so for me, I really wanted to prove that maturity to my parents. And be able to pay for my own cell phone as well as pay for my own car. And so, really, the discipline aspect of being able to save up for things that were expensive and didn't have that instant gratification. Those are what really stuck with me as a 13-year-old is just wanting to prove that maturity piece to my parents and discipline.
One of the questions I have for both of you is when you look at that time, obviously you're young and you're going through this program, there are probably people that stood out for you on that journey, whether they were golfers, whether they were your peers, whether they were mentors. I'm curious if you could tell me about one or two of those people and why they were so influential in your journey. And Brandon, I'd love to start with you.
So Clayton Tyler, he was the original founder of ForeUs, and he was also coincidentally a member at Hazeltine. After our first year caddying, my mom was trying to see if there was any other way that we could improve our skills and be able to grow as caddies and essentially try to fast track us to be able to work through the ranks of the caddy system faster. And so she ended up finding For Us, which was called the Minnesota Minority Junior Golf Association at the time, MMJGA for short. And Clayton Tyler was the current founder chairman of that program. And they had a caddy training piece of that where they would take kids, specifically like inner cities and underrepresented populations of kids and teach them from not knowing what golf was at all to being able to caddy and have a knowledge of the game of golf. And so even though like myself and Ryan and Jordan and our other siblings, we had taken some golf lessons before coming into this program, it really sharpened our caddy side of those skills because Clayton Tyler was a caddy himself as a kid, and he attributes caddying to what kept him out of trouble. He wanted to then give that back to us as caddies and as students to be able to grow our skills and also connect with these same professionals that he was able to connect with and to impact our future. Blake Tyler was really a big influence in our caddy careers, where because he was also a member at Hazeltine, he would take us out on different loops and help give us extra pointers, teach us how to read greens, and really give us those extra skills of advanced caddies that the current B caddies did not have. And so that's what really helped accelerate us to the next level.
How incredible and not at all surprising that based on that answer, you answered the original table topic card with like being generous with your time and who you are and how you show up in the world, because it sounds like you received that gift firsthand, which is really remarkable that someone would not only like dream up a vision like this, but then spend the time to actually make it come to life and be invested in individuals to the level of like reading greens and come with me to the course that I'm a member of, that's so cool to hear. Ryan, I'm curious, obviously you mentioned the same individual, but I'm curious if there's any other people in your journey that stick out for you.
I would want to echo what Brandon said. Clayton Tyler definitely played a huge part of it, not only in just like teaching us things, but also helping us get promoted in different ways. And apart from that, he also got us into other tournaments around, not just at Hazeltine. We also participated in the 3M Open a couple times. Probably another person that played a big role was the current caddy manager at Hazeltine right now, Brady Haberman. Before Brady, it was just a carousel of caddy managers coming in one year, out the next, and 1 year out the next. But then once Brady came around, he really like got the Hazeltine caddy program kind of set and grounded and went by the rules, but also he became like a big mentor to us as a family. He knew our family really well. We'd been there for many years, and he helped like get us out on different loops, get us in contact with different members, and it also helped when we were coming around the time of college graduation and everything. I would be able to talk to him, and networking at the golf course is a huge thing, and I would just let him know, like, my major, what I'm into, and he'd help me get paired up with different people that were in that space and in that area. Or he's like, "Oh, this person might have a connection here, or you could talk to this person." and he was just a great resource in getting the networking for us out for later on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that power of advocacy and just someone who's like willing to sing your praises and say your name in rooms that you're not in, and how much that can spur for an individual is just, it's so cool to hear that in both of your stories. Even, as similar as they are, there's some differences too. You talked a little bit about like your, just briefly mentioned your college years. Obviously, you both were in this program, and you're young and you're going through these moments. I'm wondering, like, is there a time frame where it started to shift for you of just going from like, okay, this is a job and I want to be the best at this job, to like, this might be a way of life for me? Was there a moment where something started to feel different for either of you?
Really, it was when our mom learned about the Evans Scholarship. So when she got us into caddying, she actually didn't know about the Chick Evans Scholarship at all. She just wanted to get us into summer jobs and help us learn that independence piece. A couple years into caddying, she ended up learning that there was a full ride 4-year scholarship called the Evans Scholarship that these different private golf clubs were all a part of. They would have, I know at Hazeltine, they have literal plaques of all of their caddies that got the Evans Scholarship over the years. And so when my mom looked into that, that's when caddying then shifted from just a summer job to, oh wow, this can pay for a future education and be a very significant life changing opportunity at this point. The Evans Scholarship actually has two requirements. One is financial need, as well as the second requirement is to have excellent grades. But unfortunately, my grades weren't at a point to get the Evans Scholarship my senior year of high school. And so I actually, when I applied for the Evans Scholarship, I didn't actually get it my senior year of high school, but you can apply twice. So when I saw that I didn't get the Evans Scholarship that first year, my mindset really shifted because not only was I disciplined at work, I wasn't as disciplined at school. I was like, I need to work on my discipline in my studies, just as I have discipline in my caddy work. So during my freshman year, I really buckled down and just took those different skills of time management and discipline and tenacity that I would apply as a caddy. And I applied that to my education and completely turned my grades around. Was an honor roll student my freshman year of college and ended up getting the Evans Scholarship. And I'll never forget during one of the interviews for the Evans Scholarship because they have an interview process as well after you apply. But one of those questions was what turned you around between your high school and your freshman college grade? And really, my answer for that was I wouldn't have been able to do it without the skills that I learned from caddying. That's really what I attribute the Evans Scholarship to at that point when caddying turned from just a job where you can learn these different skills to then a life changing opportunity. I also believe that caddying is one of the best youth jobs you could ever have just because of these skills that you pick up when you're young, as well as the life changing Evans Scholarship that is available to you.
That's remarkable. There's so many things here, right? Like, first and foremost, kudos to your mom. I think she deserves her own podcast episode and shout out at a minimum for how much she really found opportunities. And I think that's, it's an incredible journey of just moving through that shift, getting to where you want to be. But it's so cool to see how, like, within a year's time, the skills that you learned through that caddy experience, that, ability to communicate, the tenacity, the time management, the conduct, the behavior, you were able to translate that and make it work for you to then achieve that next milestone, which is just the really cool power of being associated with sport, being associated with a job, like taking ownership, having independence. It's really, really cool to see that manifest in such a short amount of time. Ryan, I'm curious from your perspective too. Like obviously there was a moment for you where it shifted from just being your summer job to something else entirely. What was that something else for you, and what did that moment look like?
That big turning point was when my brother, when he got the Evans scholarship, and I was like, I knew this was possible, and it became more than just a job where it was like this could be like the next big thing for me, not having to have any debt coming out of college because I knew that's what my brother was stepping into, and it really got me to focus not just at work and working hard on the golf course, but also work keeping my grades high and get into the University of Minnesota.
Ryan
Mhm.
was way smarter than me in high school.
Well, he also had the benefit of watching you go first, so
I had a great leader showing me the way.
yeah. Yeah, luckily you watched him go through it and had
Yes,
the
yes,
chance to
and
learn
I
from
wanna
him.
give a big shout out to my mom as well because she also
Yeah,
helped a lot through that process, and that's when it turned into more than just a job. It's like you're talking to different members, you need, letters of recommendation from different members, from the caddy manager, and all these different people that are in my life. It became my own community at that point.
that's so
Going
cool.
through and applying for that Evans scholarship, like everyone's hoping you get it, and that's probably the biggest turning point where I'm not just here at work. I'm here with like a community that's behind me and wants to see me do well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's it's such a cool representation. Only out of curiosity, is it incredibly rare that 2 brothers are both Evans scholars? Is that normal or is that rare?
Yeah, I would say it's actually pretty common that there are siblings in the Evans house. You would see that there would be different siblings following one another to the Evans scholarship. And that's not to say that all siblings like make it into the Evans scholarship, but when you have siblings that kind of show that hey, this is a life-changing opportunity that's here, then generally you can get most of your family to be like, all right, I'm gonna do this and commit to it as well. So
Mhm. There are 3 of us with the Evans scholarship, 5 of us in total, but our younger brother also, he's graduating this year. He has the with the Evans scholarship.
yeah, he was also a caddy at Hazeltine National Golf Course, and he's actually also going to be helping us out this summer as well at ForUs. So he's also giving back and mentoring the next generation of caddies.
It's so cool. True family affair. It's remarkable how you've been able to handle both like the competition that's clearly a part of the family, but then be so deeply supportive of one another and learn from each other's journeys. You both obviously were scholars, finished your 4 year degrees. We heard in your bio, Brandon is a software engineer. Ryan, you're in the wealth management industry and financial services industry. As you were going through college and kind of picking your majors, what happened for you in the golf and caddy space? Was it something you were like, I'm really glad I had that experience and learned from it and I have all these skills now? Or did you always feel like it was something you would take with you? Ryan, I'm curious your perspective first.
No, yeah, it's something I'd always hold close to me. I'm very, very grateful for being put into that area. And actually, how I got my first job was from being on the golf course. It was a client of where I work now. I was caddying for him, and he was telling me about the advisor he has, it was such a great company. And if he wanted to, if I was okay with it, he asked if he could put my name out there, and I would apply. And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. That's how my all my networking went. I was just talking to different people that already were in businesses, and I would just set up a 30-minute lunch or Zoom call or whatever, and I just did all my networking through that. That's how I got my first job, and honestly, I wouldn't have done it any differently.
I was hoping you would share that story. I knew a little bit about how you got to where you are, of course, but I was hoping you'd share because I think it's you both talked about feeling that power of the network and the power of connection in that caddy role. But I mean, it truly got you your first job in a way that maybe felt easy on paper, but it's because you had all of these years of hard work and experience and demonstrating who you were at the core that got you to where you are. I think the thing I really love about both of your stories from my perspective is we are often talking about in my line of work like nonprofits and what does impact mean for these nonprofit organizations? What does impact mean for the people that they serve? And maybe the only way we could answer that for the two of you is everything. But it's truly amazing, like, how participating in one type of program has brought both of you immense lifelong benefit. And we're not just talking about, like, you had a summer job at a place that probably is a little inaccessible to most in an industry that's a little hard to understand, but you gained all of these amazing skills and then used those skills to build your network and your community and go to college and have your college educations paid for and get your careers started. And that is the ripple effect of impact that you can't always quantify. But when you talk to two people who have been a part of it, it's life changing, which is, it's so cool to hear in your stories. And the amazing part is, like, these stories aren't done. You both have found your way back to ForeUs. So tell me about the relationship you have with the organization today. Brandon, chairman of the board, congratulations. Tell me how you ended up back at the organization and in the board seat.
So after our caddying careers and had received the Evans Scholarship, we wanted to really just give that experience back to as many kids as possible who don't know about it, because the Evans Scholarship is really it's a scholarship that is not well known at all. My first instinct was I need to help as many students and as many kids who are in the same situation as I am to have this opportunity available to them. And so in college, just from my freshman year onward, I would volunteer with ForUs and as an instructor. And so I would train these kids how to caddy, teaching them the skills that a caddy needs to have to get started at the B level, and also help connect them with these different golf courses so they could get their first caddy job. I did that for a few different years. And then in 2025 was when Clayton approached myself and Ryan just at a dinner where he was just so appreciative of what we've been uh, able to come back and contribute to the program. And he was like, I'm getting a little bit older now and can't run things like I used to. And so I wanted to make sure that this organization was put into really good hands. And I believe those hands would be yours. So he asked us then at the dinner table if we would take over leading for us. And I was so excited to do it. I'd love to help bring more impact and more change to these students and really um, amplify this opportunity that is available, because it has changed my life in so many different unexpected ways. That was really how it came about for myself, and really for Ryan too. He was in that same boat where he was
Yeah.
helping train and teach these kids, and was with me there to be our chief operating officer.
Awesome. Ryan, I'm curious, like, what feels the most meaningful to you about being involved at this stage now as chief operating officer?
I was the one that helped set up a lot of the interviews we had with the kids that we accepted into our program,
Sure.
and hearing their stories and where they're coming from and why they want to join our program, and like the opportunity we're offering to them. It just feels like the start of something new, because I really, we're really getting connected with these kids, hearing their backgrounds and everything, what we have in store, or the ideas we have for them and where they could go. That really means a lot to me, in a way where I know, like, I was there in their positions and wanting the same things, and I would just want to let them know that it's achievable for them if they work hard and everything. Like, I want them to achieve all the same things and more that I did.
Yeah, I'm curious, Brandon, is as Ryan answered that question and has some very important things that he wants to carry through his own experience for the future of those that are participating and for us just as an organization. What's that same question for you? Like, what are the things that are really important for you that are carried forward?
I know that this is going to sound a little bit generic, but I'm going to dig into it. Is the life changing aspect of caddying. Because when you go up to someone and you just say, "Oh yeah, like caddying," they think of just like a summer job, something you do for a couple years, and then you move on. When I say like this is a life changing opportunity, I'm someone who is big into personal finance. The impact that the Evans Scholarship has had, as well as just the ability to caddy, has just drastically improved my outlook. The average American coming out of college, I believe, generally has around 60 to $70,000 in student loan debt. And student loans, like you can't claim bankruptcy on those. You have to pay them back, and the interest rates are crazy on them to get an education. And the Evans Scholarship just completely takes those all away. It's something that's only achievable through caddying. And so for me, my goal is to like basically scream it from the rooftop, hey, this opportunity is available and it's here for you. Like I had mentioned earlier, is that you have to have a financial need for the Evans Scholarship. If you don't have a financial need, you don't qualify. And a lot of caddies are generally children of these members at these golf clubs. And so there's a huge opportunity for kids who have that true financial need and who are excellent students. Like Ryan and I have interviewed these students, excellent students. And they have just an amazing opportunity to be able to just add on that caddying aspect, and they can be golden for this Evans Scholarship opportunity because in general, like the Evans Scholarship loves to fill the what's called the Evans House with kids from the same state. So for the University of Minnesota, they want to fill it with Minnesota kids. But in the past, and during my time as an Evans Scholar, and even during Ryan's and Bryson's time, they haven't been able to fill the house with Minnesota students because they either don't qualify financially or there's not enough applicants. And so to me, for a full ride scholarship, it's such a missed opportunity. My goal with ForUs is to really amplify that opportunity for the kids that really need it. And these are kids that might not even have college savings. Like I didn't have college savings. Ryan didn't have college savings to go to school. And so that's what I mean when I say like the life changing aspect of it is instead of starting life behind, you're starting it light years ahead. It's all thanks to this job called caddying.
The really remarkable thing that you're selling yourself short a little bit on is on top of all of what you just shared and said is that the two of you, while now being on the other side of the organization, are also providing just like that mentorship and that light and that possibility of, someone else went through it and did it. So can I? And you both mentioned you had that in your older siblings and watching them go through it. And now any member of the program and anyone that's accepted gets to also look at the two of you and say like, well, they did it. And if they can provide the pathway and the opportunity, then I can achieve it as well. And just having someone who's been there, I think is remarkably meaningful. And so in the vein of picking your head up a little bit, I hope I can do that for you in this moment of like, you're also setting the stage and the example too. We always love to provide any sort of actionable takeaways. And I know we heard this a little bit in your story, but I'm just curious for someone who's had such a deep and meaningful experience that's shaped them. How would you suggest that they stay connected over time if they can't be chairman of the board and COO due to an organizational change? What advice would you give someone, Ryan, to stay connected?
Yeah, I would say just be proactive in reaching out and seeing if they need any volunteer help or just offering your time and being available, you know? Stay aware of their mission and try and find a way if it's not being, chairman of the board or anything like that, but just seeing in the little ways you can help out, whether it's, donating a piece of your time, whether it's showing up or spreading the word about the organization or just talking about it to other people.
And Brandon, I'm curious if you don't mind telling me. Uh, Obviously, you re-engaged through volunteerism in your college years, based on what you shared with us. How How would you suggest that people find other simple ways to re-engage? Like, what would that look like?
Other simple ways that people can just get back involved with their organizations is really just like Ryan said, giving a piece of their time in whether that looks like volunteering or even just spreading the word. For example, with For Us, it's take a caddy. Like if you are a member at a
Mm.
golf course and you're looking for ways to like, hey, how can I and, and get involved and whatnot with just what I'm doing right now. Well, if you're on the golf course, if you're on a round, take a caddy, have them alongside with you, talk to them, get to know their story. That's you giving back in the moment. And with other organizations, it's the same thing. Talk to the people who are involved, spread the word about the organization. Like we had mentioned at the start of the podcast, be your authentic self, express your genuine support for what they're doing and the impact that they're giving, and that will go miles for them.
Yeah, that advice of just finding that small way to shift what you're doing already. In your example, like take a caddy with you that's going through this program. But there's so many ways that we can think about what are just those small shifts of, do we support a local business who gives part of their proceeds to an organization, whatever it might be. We can keep doing what we're doing, but we can find opportunities to just do it a little bit better in a way that makes more impact. So I think that advice is so great. I just really can't thank you both enough for sharing these stories because I know how deeply personal they are to the two of you and just how it's changed your trajectory, but also has influenced so heavily the way it's come full circle into you both now being in more formal roles for the organization. So I was so excited for this conversation because we haven't had one like it before where someone has been so deeply entrenched from such a young age. And I think there's so many pieces of this that can resonate with people. Well, before we wrap, one of the things we like to end with are rapid fire questions. And so I'm just gonna give you the question. I'd love your answers. First question is what does a better way for doing good mean for you?
So, a better way for doing good for me really means how can I make an impact where I am right now? You don't need to travel around the world to make an impact. You don't need to make a huge splash. You can just start with the person next door. Like, how can I help the person across the street from me? How can I help my friend who's with me? Those are small ways that you can really begin to make an impact. And those will then just start to snowball because the more people that you impact, that encourages them to take that and go double it and give it to the next person.
Definitely, definitely. And I want to echo that. It's like, how can I make someone smile today? How can I make someone's day? Going out of my way, just doing like a better job of giving yourself fully day to day.
Yeah, it's great. We talked a lot about values in this conversation. I'm curious if you could only name one value that describes your leadership now, what would it be?
Ooh, one value that could describe our leadership right now. I would say for me, my value would be encouragement. So being able to encourage one another and encourage that student who may be struggling with caddying, maybe struggling to get that first loop. I just want to be an encouragement to them saying that, hey, you can do this. Like, this is something that you can do. Don't give up here because your future self is going to thank you. And so just being able to be an encourager and someone that can really help others see the best in themselves, that's my value.
My value, I'd say, is communication. Being a strong communicator. So, like, I'm the one who's like handling this program, handling work. There's a lot of moving parts and everything, but just being able to communicate your time, communicate what you're doing here or there, just being clear so everyone has a good idea of where you're going and what's going on.
Those are two perfect values for the chairman of the board and the COO. So spot on answers. And the last question, really easy. I'd love to hear either you can pick one, your daily ritual or your favorite coffee order.
I would say for my favorite daily ritual, it is start the day being able to give thanks for where I'm at, being able to just humble myself and give thanks for all of the blessings that have come to me at this point in my life is my daily ritual.
For me, I don't really have a daily ritual. My days are kind of chaotic. You never know what's gonna happen. But my favorite coffee order I get the most often, either a caramel iced latte or a vanilla iced latte. It's probably
There
my
you
favorite
go.
coffee
There you
order.
go. That's awesome. I'm so grateful for the both of you. Thank you for sharing your story and thank you for sharing your time, and we'll of course share more about For Us. I think the work you're doing there is really remarkable, and we heard firsthand from both of you about how truly life-changing it is. It's really fun to see your experiences at such a young age reflect through your college and professional careers, and I just think it provides such an opportunity for people to understand what it's like to have this experience and translate it across a lot of verticals. Thank you so much for the time, and we'll be sure people know where to reach you if they're interested in learning more and how to be involved.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Leah.
Thank you, Leah. It was a pleasure speaking with you.